Okay, I need you to look at two numbers. $738,000. That is how much a typical American doctor earns in a single decade of practicing medicine. Now, here is the number sitting right next to it, $94,000. That is the median net worth of that same doctor after those same 10 years. They earned $738,000. They kept $94,000. The other $644,000 just evaporated into a lifestyle that felt completely normal, completely reasonable, and completely deserved the entire time it was happening. Now I want you to meet two people, Olivia and Jordan, both 38, both just crossed $120,000 in annual salary for the first time. Both genuinely believe they are finally about to get ahead. In 5 years, Olivia will have quietly built $87,000 in investable assets. Jordan will have $6,200. Same salary, same city, same 5 years, $80,800 difference. And here is the part I need you to hear. Jordan is not careless. Jordan is not doing anything that looks obviously wrong from the outside. Jordan is just caught inside something. Something with a name. A specific, documented, quietly devastating name. And the trap is so perfectly camouflaged that 41% of Americans earning between $300,000 and $500,000 are still inside it right now. People with $500,000 salaries, broke, anxious, one unexpected bill away from the edge. Today, I am going to show you exactly how it works. And at the very end, I am going to show you a number that will completely change how you look at every raise you ever get for the rest of your life. Do not skip ahead. Each piece builds on the last. Let's go. You have probably heard that a goldfish grows to fit its bowl. Small fish, big bowl, big fish. Your spending works exactly the same way. When Jordan earned $65,000, every dollar had a job. There was friction before every purchase. That friction felt annoying, but it was also, quietly, protecting Jordan from something much more expensive than anything it was blocking. Then the salary hit $120,000. The bowl got bigger. And without a single dramatic decision, without a shopping spree, without any moment that felt remotely like going off the rails, the goldfish grew to fill it. Here is how it happened. Practically invisibly. Economists call it consumption smoothing. The moment your brain registers a higher income, it starts making commitments on your behalf. Silent ones. The nicer neighborhood starts feeling appropriate. The car upgrade starts feeling earned. The 4 restaurant nights a week are starting to feel like a completely reasonable reward for working this hard. None of it feels like a choice. It feels like gravity. And here is what that gravity actually costs when you add it up. Jordan's $120,000 after-tax amount comes to roughly $7,400 a month. Watch this. Rent upgrade, $600 more per month. New car payment, $510. Dining out more, $340 more. Gym upgrade, better groceries, a few extra subscriptions, $190. That is $1,640 in new monthly spending. Not on anything wild, on things that feel completely proportional to someone earning $120,000. But $1,640 a month is $19,680 a year. Jordan's raise was $22,000 before taxes. After taxes, maybe $15,000. So the bowl did not just swallow the raise. It swallowed the raise and then reached $4,680 into the future to cover the rest. Jordan did not spend the raise. Jordan spent the raise plus borrowed against tomorrow to do it. Now meet Olivia. Same salary, same gravity, same dealerships on the commute home, same nicer apartments on every corner. But Olivia understood one thing about the goldfish bowl that Jordan never figured out. You get to choose the size. The bowl does not resize itself automatically. You resize it. And the only question is whether you do it consciously before the gravity kicks in or unconsciously, while it is already pulling. The week Olivia's salary hit $120,000, she did one thing before she told anyone, before she celebrated, before she let herself feel the exhale. She calculated what her life cost at $85,000. Then she deliberately designed her $120,000 life to cost $92,000. A real upgrade. Something that actually felt better. Not a punishment. Not a monk situation. Then she automated the $28,000 gap straight into an index fund before her goldfish brain ever registered that the bowl was bigger. The goldfish still grew, just not as fast as the bowl. And that gap, that small, boring, invisible gap between bowl size and income, is where Olivia's $87,000 came from, while Jordan ended up with $6,200. So open your bank app right now. Add up everything that leaves your account automatically every month. That total is your current bowl size. Write it down. Because the next time your income goes up, that number needs to stay roughly the same for at least 90 days. Not forever, just 90 days. That freeze is the only thing standing between you and the goldfish trap, and it costs you absolutely nothing to set up. So now you understand the bowl, you understand the gravity, but here is the next question nobody asks. If the pattern is this obvious once you see it, why do smart, educated, financially aware people keep falling into it? Why do people earning $300,000 live paycheck to paycheck? The answer is not discipline. It is not math literacy. It is not even awareness. Imagine you lend a friend $500. They never bring it up. Months pass. You start keeping a mental tab. Every time you see them ordering the expensive cocktail or booking a trip, that tab gets louder. You never say anything out loud, but the number is there, quietly, waiting. That is what your brain does with your own sacrifices. Every cheap apartment you lived in while building your career, every vacation you skipped, every Friday night you worked while your friends were out, every time you said, "I cannot afford that right now," even though you deserved it. Your brain wrote all of it down, and the moment the big salary arrives, that mental tab comes due. Your brain is trying to buy back years of sacrifice using a single year of income. It is trying to settle a 4-year tab in 90 days. It cannot be done. The math does not work, but the feeling is so overwhelming, so deeply earned, that most people never stop to question it. Jordan felt every bit of this. 4 years of grinding, 4 years of the cheaper apartment, the older car, the packed lunch while colleagues went out. The raise felt like the finish line, like the universe finally settling the score, and genuinely felt great about it for about 6 weeks. Then the new apartment was just the apartment. The new car was just the car. The restaurants were just for dinner. The feeling faded, and Jordan was back to feeling behind, except now with $19,680 less per year to work with, and a bowl that had locked itself into a permanently larger size. And then something worse happened. Because Jordan had upgraded the fixed costs, the monthly obligations, and the non-negotiables, the only way to maintain that lifestyle was to keep earning at least that much. Forever. The raise did not buy Jordan freedom. It bought Jordan a higher floor that now had to be maintained indefinitely. That is when the tab stops being something you pay off. That is when it starts charging you interest. Olivia felt the exact same pull. Same 4 years, same sacrifices, same mental tab screaming to be settled. But she paused long enough to ask herself one question. If I spend this raise trying to feel caught up, will I actually feel caught up, or will I just feel behind at a more expensive address? Spending does not close the tab. It just resets the treadmill at a higher speed. You buy the nicer apartment to feel like you finally made it. 3 months later, that apartment is just where you live. The feeling is gone, but the rent is still there, every single month. So Olivia did something different. She picked one thing, one specific, deliberate, genuinely meaningful upgrade. A standing desk she had wanted for 3 years. $400, one time, done. Then she automated $28,000 into an index fund before her brain could present any more bills. You cannot buy your way back to even. The brain does not work that way. Here's a quick win for you. Think about the last time your income went up. Could be a raise, a bonus, a new job, anything. Now think honestly about what changed in your spending in the 90 days after. Not the things you planned, the things that just happened. That automatic drift is your mental tab talking. Write those changes down. Add up what they cost per year. Then ask yourself one question. Did any of those purchases actually make you feel caught up? Or did you just feel behind at a higher number 3 months later? So now you understand the bowl, and you understand why it keeps growing even when you're watching. But here's where it gets really dangerous. Most of the bowl is actually reversible. The restaurants, the subscriptions, the fancier groceries uncomfortable to cut, sure, but cuttable. If you decided tomorrow that the bowl needed to shrink, you could shrink it. Except for 3 things. 3 decisions that, once made, lock the bowl from the outside. You cannot budget your way back. You cannot willpower your way out. Once you sign, the size is fixed, and the goldfish has no choice but to keep growing to fill it. The first lock, the address. Jordan's apartment upgrade was $600 more a month. Here is the thing though, an address is not just a line item. An address is an entire ecosystem. The new building was in a better neighborhood. A better neighborhood meant different colleagues suggesting different restaurants. More space meant hosting became normal, which meant a better stocked kitchen, which meant a different grocery budget. The building had its own gym, so Jordan canceled the old one and paid more for the building's gym instead. One decision, 6 downstream expenses Jordan never consciously chose. Olivia stayed in the old neighborhood for 18 more months after the raise. Not as a sacrifice, as a strategy. When Olivia finally moved, she did it on her own timeline. With $33,000 already invested, Jordan's address had quietly swallowed the second lock, the vehicle. If your only criterion for a car was that it gets you where you need to go, reliably and safely, what would you actually buy? For most people, that answer lands somewhere between $18,000 and $24,000. Jordan's car costs $510 a month. Over a 60-month loan, with insurance on a more expensive vehicle, that is roughly $38,000 over 5 years. The gap between $24,000 and $38,000 is not transportation. That is $14,000 spent on a feeling. Olivia drives a 4-year-old Mazda, which she paid cash for after saving for 8 months. Heated seats, starts every morning. Nobody has ever complimented it. She considers that last part a feature, not a bug. The third lock, the identity upgrade. This one is the sneakiest because it never shows up on a single receipt. When Jordan crossed $120,000, something shifted socially without anyone announcing it. The gym needed to match the tax bracket. The wardrobe needed to reflect the title. The networking dinners, the weekend plans with colleagues at this income level, all of it quietly recalibrated to a new normal. None of it felt like a decision. It felt like belonging. But belonging to a higher income tier costs on average $400 to $600 a month in spending that does not fall into any single category. Too small to question individually, too consistent to ignore collectively. Jordan never audited this because there was nothing obvious to audit. It was just life at this level. Olivia audited it every 6 months, not to deprive herself, just to make sure every dollar was buying something she actually chose rather than something she felt socially obligated to perform. And here is what connects all 3 locks. They all feel like belonging, like finally living the life that matches what you earn. That feeling is exactly what makes them so dangerous, because by the time you recognize a lock for what it is, you are already inside the bowl it built around you. So, look at your 3 biggest monthly expenses right now, not counting rent. For each one, ask yourself this: if I did not already have this and someone offered it to me today at this price, would I say yes? If the answer is no, that is a lock posing as a choice. You do not have to cut it today, just name it. Awareness is the only key that works on a lock like this. So now you can see the full picture. The bowl grows because of gravity. The gravity accelerates because of that mental tab your brain has been running. And then 3 locks quietly make the bowl permanent before you ever realize what happened. That is the high-income poverty trap. That is how a doctor earns $738,000 and keeps $94,000. Not carelessness, not one bad decision, just a perfectly logical sequence of invisible steps, each one reasonable, together absolutely devastating. Now I want to show you what this actually costs. Not as a feeling, not as a concept, as a number. Olivia is 38, investing $28,000 a year, the gap she protected from the bowl, at a 7% average annual return. By 58, that becomes $1,147,000. Jordan is 38, investing $3,100 a year, the small amount that survived after the bowl took everything else. Same 7% return. By 58, that becomes $127,000. Same salary, same age, same returns, same city, same job. $1,020,000 difference. $1 million, not from earning more, not from a business or a lucky stock or a crypto moonshot, just from choosing the bowl size. Now here's the part that is really going to stay with you. Jordan is not going to feel that gap at 38 or 42 or even 46. Life is going to feel completely fine. The apartment is nice, the car is comfortable. $120,000 feels like $120,000 should feel. The gap only becomes real and visible at 58, when Olivia quietly stops needing to work, and Jordan quietly realizes there is no option to stop. Not because Jordan failed, not because Jordan made one catastrophic mistake, because the bowl was just a little too big, for a little too long. And the same compound interest that built Olivia's $1,147,000 spent 20 years working in the exact opposite direction for Jordan, quietly, invisibly, while everything on the surface looked completely fine. That is the trap in its final form, not the restaurant, not the car, not the apartment. The 20 years of compounding that happened on the wrong side while Jordan felt like everything was under control. The high-income poverty trap does not go after reckless people. It goes after people who are doing everything right by every visible measure. People who earned the salary, worked for the raise, and genuinely deserve every upgrade they gave themselves. It goes after people who just never got shown the bowl. So here is your one move. Tonight, not next week, open your bank app. Add up every single automatic monthly outflow. That total is your bowl size right now. Write it down and make yourself one promise. The next time your income goes up, that number does not move for 90 days. Not because you cannot afford to upgrade, but because you now understand what upgrading actually costs when you let the bowl resize itself automatically. And that's all for today. If you find this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more of these kinds of videos. Thanks for watching.